It is 2 in the morning. You are lying in bed, staring at the ceiling. The body is tired, the mind is restless. Thoughts circle like vultures. What if I fail tomorrow? What if I said the wrong thing yesterday? What if everything falls apart? The night is silent, but inside the noise is deafening. We call it overthinking, a mind that does not stop working, a mind that mistakes motion for progress. But pause for a moment. Ask yourself this: has thinking more ever solved the problem faster? Has running the same scenario again and again ever brought peace? If thinking were the cure, you would already be healed. Yet the more you think, the more anxious you become. The Stoics knew this well. They too wrestled with restless minds. They lived in courts, in battlefields, in crowded markets, noise outside, noise inside. And they discovered something timeless. The mind can be trained, not to erase thought, not to crush it, but to guide it, to think enough, never too much. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal at night. Seneca reflected on each day before sleep. Epictetus reminded his students of what is in their control and what is not. They did not escape overthinking by accident. They practiced. They built habits that kept the mind steady. That is what we will explore today. 10 practices from Stoicism, not theories, not distant philosophy, practical steps to take your mind off the endless treadmill, to help you place the burden down. So, if your thoughts keep chasing you long after midnight, if your mind feels like a storm that never rests, stay with me. Because the Stoics left us a map, a way to turn thinking from an enemy into an ally, a way to stop overthinking, not tomorrow, not someday, but today. Why do we overthink? Why does the mind loop the same thought, as if it will find an answer hidden inside repetition? The Stoics saw the pattern long ago. They named it. They trained against it. First, the dichotomy of control. We worry about the weather, about the market, about the opinion of strangers, all things outside our control. We think that worrying gives us leverage. It does not. It only steals our peace. Epictetus taught, focus only on what is yours to shape. Thoughts, choices, actions, everything else belongs to fortune. Second, attachment to outcomes. We want certainty. We want perfection. We want to guarantee the future before it arrives. So we rehearse conversations. We draft 10 scenarios for one event. We live in imagined tomorrows, while the present slips away. Seneca warned, he suffers more than necessary who suffers before it is necessary. Overthinking makes us bleed twice, once in fear, once in reality. Third, the fear of judgment. What will they think of me? What if they disapprove? What if I fall short? This fear fuels the spiral. We try to script every word, every move, so no one can reject us. But Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, the opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them know what is good. Their judgment is not truth. Their judgment is not you. This is why we overthink, because we grip too tightly to what is not ours, because we imagine outcomes that do not exist, because we hand our peace to the crowd. The Stoics did not escape overthinking by chance. They trained their minds, they built practices, they made philosophy into habit. And now, we turn to those habits. 10 practices, simple, timeless, enough to guide your mind back to stillness. 10 Stoic practices to stop overthinking. 1. Negative visualization. Imagine loss to end fear. The mind fears loss. We overthink because we fear what might be taken from us: our job, our health, our loved ones, our status. The Stoics had a practice. They called it premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils, not to make life darker, but to prepare the mind for reality. Seneca advised, imagine misfortune before it arrives. Picture the loss of wealth. Picture rejection. Picture the day your possessions are no longer yours. Do this, and two things happen. First, you loosen fear's grip. When the mind has rehearsed loss, it no longer panics at shadows. Second, you deepen gratitude. When you remember what can be taken, you see what is here with fresh eyes. Tonight, as you sit in your room, imagine the chair beneath you gone. Imagine the roof above you gone. Imagine the voice of someone you love, silent. Do not sink into despair. Just see. See that nothing is truly promised. And in that seeing, hold the present more gently. Overthinking thrives on what if? What if I lose this? What if tomorrow takes it away? Negative visualization answers, yes, you might. And if you do, you will still be here, still breathing, still capable of strength. The practice is not to invite tragedy, it is to strip tragedy of surprise, to meet life ready, not trembling. When you remember that everything is on loan, you stop clutching. When you stop clutching, the mind grows quiet. This is the first practice. Imagine loss, not to grieve it early, but to free yourself from fearing it always. 2. The control test. Ask, is this within my power? Every overthought problem begins with confusion. We mix what is ours with what is not. The Stoics cut the knot with one question. Is this within my power? If yes, act. If no, release. Simple, but not easy. You worry about the weather. You cannot change it. You can carry an umbrella. You can accept the rain, but you cannot command the clouds. You worry about the economy. You cannot control the markets. You can control your spending. You can control your skill, your effort, your resilience, but you cannot move the global tide. You worry about someone's opinion. You cannot control their thoughts. You can control your words. You can control your intent, but their judgment is not yours to command. Every thought that repeats without end usually belongs to the wrong side of this divide. You are thinking about what is not yours. Epictetus said, some things are up to us, some are not. The wisdom is to know the difference, so make it a habit. When the storm of thoughts rises, stop and ask, is this within my power? If it is, act once, do the thing, then stop. If it is not, let it go. The control test is a sword. It cuts the tangled rope of anxiety. It frees the mind from wrestling with shadows. Try it tomorrow. When the mind spins, put the question in front of it. You will find that half of what you worry about is not yours, and the half that is becomes lighter once you move into action. This is the second practice, a question, sharp as steel. Is this within my power? If yes, act. If no, release. 3. Writing without judgment, emptying the mind. The mind overthinks because it hoards. Every thought is stored. Every worry is replayed. They swirl, echo, and multiply. The Stoics wrote. They wrote not to publish, not to impress, but to clear the fog. Seneca wrote letters, often to himself. Marcus Aurelius filled his journal, never meant for any reader. Epictetus's students kept notes from his lectures. Writing was not decoration, it was survival. You do not need eloquence. You do not need structure. You need honesty. Take a page. Take a pen. Empty the mind onto paper. Do not judge the words. Do not edit the sentences. Just let the thoughts fall out. The page holds what the mind cannot. The page listens without reply. The page accepts without judgment. When you write, thoughts lose their edge. What felt unbearable in the dark feels manageable in ink. What seemed tangled becomes clear when seen outside the head. Tonight, write down your worries, all of them. Write until the mind has nothing left to spill. Then, close the notebook. Leave it there. The practice is not to create art, it is to cleanse, to pull the weight out of the mind and place it where it cannot suffocate you. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Writing exposes imagination for what it is, phantoms on a page. This is the third practice, writing without judgment. Empty the mind so it can rest. 4. Voluntary discomfort. Step into what you fear. Overthinking grows in comfort. When life is soft, the mind invents dangers. When the body is at ease, the imagination creates storms. The Stoics practiced the opposite. They chose discomfort on purpose. Seneca slept on hard mats, though he owned fine beds. Epictetus walked barefoot, though shoes were near. Marcus Aurelius worked long hours in the cold. Why? To train against fear, to shrink the imagined monster, to prove that discomfort is survivable. Overthinking often begins with, what if it hurts? What if I cannot handle it? Voluntary discomfort answers, I have already tasted worse. I am still here. Try it yourself. Fast for a meal. Take a cold shower. Walk in the rain without complaint. Turn off the heater for one night. The body protests. The mind protests. But soon, both adapt. And when real hardship comes, you are not unprepared. Overthinking feeds on the unknown. It thrives on the belief that pain will destroy you. Discomfort reveals the truth. Pain is endurable. Seneca said, "Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself, 'Is this the condition that I feared?'" This practice strips fear of power. It teaches the mind that hardship is not an end, only a teacher. When you walk into discomfort, you walk out with courage, and courage silences overthinking. This is the fourth practice. Choose discomfort, so the unknown no longer controls you. 5. Memento Mori. Remembering mortality. The mind spins because it believes time is endless. It thinks tomorrow is guaranteed, so it spends today rehearsing for days that may never come. The Stoics broke this illusion with a phrase, memento mori. Remember, you must die, not to depress, not to darken, to awaken. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each morning, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. When you live as if life is infinite, every worry feels heavy. When you remember life is finite, most worries dissolve. You fear the email you have not answered. You fear the small mistake at work. You fear the judgment of neighbors. Memento Mori asks, will these matter at your final breath? If not, why give them the weight of eternity? This practice cuts through overthinking with clarity. It reveals what is essential. It clears away the trivial. Try this reflection tonight. Close your eyes. Say to yourself, if this were my last day, would this thought deserve my mind? Most of the noise will vanish. What remains is what truly matters. Memento Mori is not a call to despair. It is a call to urgency, a reminder that time is borrowed, that worry is a poor use of it. Overthinking is a luxury of forgetting death. Remembering mortality returns you to life. This is the fifth practice. Memento Mori. Do not fear the end. Use it to sharpen the present. 6. Pause before you react. Create space for clarity. Overthinking thrives in speed. A word is spoken, a look is given. The mind rushes. It invents stories. It reacts before it reflects. The Stoics taught the opposite. Pause. 3 seconds. That is all. A breath in, a breath out. A space wide enough to stop the spiral. Epictetus reminded his students, if someone provokes you, remember, it is your judgment that disturbs you. The pause lets you see the judgment before it hardens into reaction. In those 3 seconds, ask, what is truly being said? What is within my control? What response serves my character? The pause does not erase thought. It slows it. It gives the mind time to sort what is real from what is imagined. Try it tomorrow. When anger sparks, when anxiety rises, when the urge to reply burns, stop, count to 3. You will find the storm weakens. This is the 6th practice. Pause before you react. In that pause, clarity enters. 7. Morning silence. Guard the first 30 minutes. The day begins. Most reach for their phone, messages, news, notifications, noise before the mind even wakes. Overthinking is fed by this noise. The Stoics would have called it pollution of the soul. Guard the morning. The first 30 minutes are sacred. Do not touch the phone. Do not rush into the world. Sit in silence. Walk slowly. Drink water. Breathe. Marcus Aurelius wrote each morning, not to post, not to perform, to remind himself of what mattered before the world intruded. You cannot control the chaos outside, but you can control how you enter it. If you enter quietly, the day bends to you. If you enter in noise, the day controls you. Try this tomorrow. Wake. Stay away from the screen. Let silence be your first teacher. This is the 7th practice. Morning silence. Protect the mind before the world invades. 8. Single task focus. Do one thing, do it fully. Overthinking often comes from division. The mind splits itself across many tasks. Work half here, worry half there. Nothing complete. Everything tangled. Epictetus taught discipline in focus. Do what is before you, nothing more, nothing less. When you eat, just eat. When you walk, just walk. When you work, just work. The habit seems small, but it trains the mind to rest where it island, not to scatter into 1,000 what-ifs. Multitasking is a myth. It is only rapid switching, and the cost is peace. Try this today. Pick one task, commit fully. If the mind drifts, return gently, not with anger, but with patience. The mind learns stillness through practice, not command. This is the 8th practice. Single task focus. Do one thing. Do it well. Let the rest wait. 9. Daily review. Release the mind at night. The day ends, but the mind does not. It replays mistakes. It replays what might have been said. It replays what tomorrow may bring. The Stoics closed the day with review. Seneca described the practice, when the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day and go back over what I've done and said. Ask 3 questions. What did I do well? What could I improve? What can I let go? This practice trains the mind to settle accounts daily, to learn without punishment, to improve without despair. Write it down if you wish, or reflect in silence before sleep. Either way, the mind finds closure. Without review, thoughts pile up. With review, they are sorted and set aside. Overthinking at night is a symptom of an unexamined day. Examine, and the night grows calm. This is the 9th practice, a daily review. To release the mind and invite rest. 10. Voluntary limits. Set boundaries for thought. Overthinking has no boundaries. One worry becomes an hour, one problem becomes the whole day. The Stoics set limits. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Don't waste the rest of your time worrying. Set a boundary. Give the problem a time. 15 minutes, 30 minutes. Think, write, plan. Then stop." The limit reminds you, thought is a tool, not a master. Like fire, it warms when contained, but burns when endless. Try this. When a worry comes, tell yourself, "I will think about this at 6 p.m. for 20 minutes. When the time arrives, sit, think, and close the book. Most worries fade before the scheduled hour. Those that remain are handled, then put away. Limits free the mind from endless repetition. They teach thought to serve purpose, not obsession. This is the 10th practice. Voluntary limits. To think enough, never too much. The quiet release. At the beginning, we spoke of the restless night. 2 in the morning, eyes on the ceiling, thoughts circling like vultures. The truth is, you do not need to silence the mind. You do not need to crush every thought. You only need to place the burden down. The Stoics knew, the mind is not an enemy. It is a tool. Untrained, it runs wild. Trained, it serves. These 10 practices are not walls against thought. They are doors. They open a way out of the endless loop. But here is the key. Do not attempt them all at once. The mind does not change through ambition. It changes through habit. So this week, do not try all 10. Choose just one: negative visualization, or the control test, or morning silence. Practice it daily. Watch how your mind shifts, how it learns to serve you, not enslave you. Overthinking does not vanish in a day, but each day, each practice builds a quieter mind, like drops filling a vessel, like steps forming a path. The mind becomes what it repeats. If it repeats panic, it becomes restless. If it repeats discipline, it becomes calm. So begin small. One practice, one choice, one moment of clarity in place of chaos. That is how freedom grows. Not in noise, not in haste, but in the quiet release of what no longer serves you. Remember the Stoics' aim, not an empty mind, but a disciplined one, a mind that thinks enough, but never too much.